Hi everyone and welcome to our channel. Today I'm going to be talking about how we set up our Astro sites to connect to a GraphQL endpoint and how we generate TypeSafe queries for all your GraphQL schemas and GraphQL queries. In this setup I'll be focusing on Astro for the front end, and on the back end I'll be working with Statamic as our CMS of choice. This setup works with any CMS that has a GraphQL endpoint, and you are not limited to our example here. If you prefer, you can skip that part, but overall the concepts will stay the same. So without further ado, let's continue. So here I'll have my browser, and basically the goal here is to create this site and so basically this is an Astro site. I found it on the Astro marketplace, and the goal here is to connect this to a CMS. So I have our Astro starter, which is open source, and I have the source code for this, which is here. And then I have our tutorial that we wrote just recently on how you can build TypeSafe SDKs with TypeScript for a Headless Statamic website. So this part here, this works for any CMS. You're not limited to Statamic. Basically, any endpoint that has a GraphQL query will work with this. So, okay. So first of all, I will start from our backend and work our way through to the front end. So in the backend, I'll define some collections, some pages, just so I can show you some examples here on how we can structure this to get the data from the CMS. If you don't like this part, obviously you can skip it and you can focus only on the Astro part. So what do we have here? So I've already gone ahead and I've created a repo here called Astro CMS, and this is the Astro front end, and this is the Statamic backend. So in Statamic, I have to open and enable the GraphQL. So there is a env here, GraphQL enabled. Okay, so that's in the end. Also, to use GraphQL with Statamic, you do need Statamic Pro. Okay, so now that I've enabled that, let me go to astrosite.test. Okay, /cp. Okay, and there we have our GraphQL. Nice. So here I can add a new query. I can do entries. Or actually, let's do ping. Okay, so this should work. Yep. Okay, perfect. We'll be referencing the documentation when working with this, but overall, we have a GraphQL for our Statamic site. Now, let me go back to the site here. So here, if I were to build this site with a CMS, obviously, I need to think of some parts here. For example, we have the navigation, we have the logo, we have a CTA here, we have a hero section here, a logo cloud here, a services section here, but yeah, a bunch of sections, and then a form and a footer. So let me start from the globals, which are on Statamic. The globals are basically things that you define globally. So that would be the logo, it could be the footer, the settings there, like a copyright text or anything similar. So let me go ahead here on globals. I'm going to create a new set. I'm just going to call it this one, theme. Okay, so I'm going to edit the blueprint here, and okay, what should we add here? So let's add the copyright, email, phone, and copyright. Okay, let's do that. So I'm gonna add a text field. I'll do email. So handle is email, input type will be email. Now I can add some validation here. This has to be an email, and this is required. I'll add a phone field. You can also add an input type here for tel. That should work. Okay, I'm not gonna make this one required, and let's add a text area here. Let's call this what do we call this? Address. Okay, let's do address. Okay. Also not required. And then I'll just do another text area here. I'll just call this copyright. And I'll make this required. Okay, save. So if I go to, save. So now if I go to globals, okay, so and now okay, save. Okay, so now I'm gonna head out to the Statamic documentation. Okay, I'll make sure to go to 6. So FYI, for those who are following this tutorial from the Statamic and who are using Statamic, I am using version 6, which is still in alpha. So if you see any errors, they should be fixed by the time this tutorial is released. Okay, so here, let's go to global set. Okay, so this is how you call a global in Statamic. So basically this is our query. So if I copy that here, the handle is theme. And sorry, I should do query here, global. Oops, sorry. Okay, let's remove this. Oh, I know what it is. I have to enable, okay, sorry. So, okay, so globals, I have to enable this to true. Oops. Okay, let's just enable for assets, collections. What else? Globals, yes. Okay. So I'll just clear out the cache here. Okay, there we go. Okay, so sorry, I had to pause there and just figure this out because this is Statamic v6 alpha. So basically here I had to refresh and clear out the cache in order for this to show up. Okay, so we have the Explorer now, and so here we have all fields. We have email, we have the phone, we can add the title. If I run this query, you can see that we have all the stuff that we need there. So this is basically our global set, and this is the data that's returning. So there's a phone, there's an address, copyright, and email. So now the rest is gonna be just a pages collection, which we already have. I'm gonna just edit this blueprint really quick. I'm gonna remove the template here, the author, and the content. So when we work in our Statamic sites, especially like it doesn't matter if they're headless or we're going to build them with Statamic, we always create a replicator for the content of the page. And that replicator is basically a page builder. So I'm just going to call this one a builder and just hit save for now. And here I'm going to start thinking on how we can build this. So let's add a hero section, which has a title, description, CTA, and an image. So if I go here on our builder, as you can see here, we have a new set. I'm just gonna edit this one. I'm gonna do hero section. Okay, so let's find a layout here. Let's do this one. Okay, so I'm gonna add a field here for title. So that's gonna be text, required, apply. And then I'm going to add another field here. So for the description, I'm actually going to make a BART field. This will allow rich text for this field. So here, I'm going to deselect everything here. So I'll just allow those, remove the image. And what else? Okay, yeah, that should be fine. Perfect. Okay, so let's do here, not this. Okay, let's do floating. Apply. We had a CTA there, so that's gonna be a link. Okay, I like to add for the CTA, I like to create a group, and this group will be a CTA. And now inside this, I'm gonna add a link. So this is gonna be a link. I'm gonna make this required. Now here, I'm gonna also add a text for the label. Let's do CTA label, just in case we don't run into any duplicate issues. Okay, so let's make this required too. Apply. Okay, we'll make this first. Okay, now in the end, I usually add a boolean for opening them in a new window or not, but I'll just skip that here. But yeah, that's a good thing you can add. Okay, so we have the CDA. Now we just need the image. So that's going to be an asset, image, container assets, max files of 1. So we just need one of them. Okay, perfect. So we have our hero section. Now on our builder, we can add another section. So let's see, a logo cloud. So let's do that too, just as an example. Logo cloud. Okay. Yeah, I'm not sure. Let's do this. Okay, logo cloud, and this logo cloud will basically just be an asset field with many items selected. Okay, do we need anything else? No. Okay, so now let's go to our GraphQL. I'm gonna refresh this. We are not gonna, we don't need this for now. So, okay, so let me just remove that. I'll go to the GraphQL API, go to collection. Okay, so this will return the collections. We need the entries. Okay, so this is basically every entry. So the ID here, we have to create a save. Okay, so pages. Okay, let's restructure. Okay, so now we have the page builder. Now let's create that page that we saw on there. So let's create this. So here, as you can see here, we have two blocks. We have a hero section and logo cloud. Again, keep in mind this is Statamic v6 alpha 3, so a lot of quirks like this will show up, but that's kind of expected from an alpha software. So I'll add a new hero section here and just basically copy paste stuff. Okay, so I'll add the text here, I'll add the description. So we made this, so we can do stuff like this. Let's do bold here too. As you can see, we have here CDSK label and link. So okay, it says book consultation, it takes you to their GitHub. Okay. I'll just do here /about. But ideally you would want to link to an entry, but we don't have any more pages. Actually, let me create an about page here really quick. Okay, save and publish. Okay, now we have an about page. Save and publish. Go back to home. Okay, now I can link to that about page. Okay, there we go. And for the logo cloud, I'm just gonna skip that part for now. We need to upload all the images, which is a bit time consuming, but yeah, you would want to open these images, copy them, and upload them on your CMS. But just to keep everything neat and tidy, we're gonna be skipping that part. Okay, so now that we have a home page, let me go to my notes and see where we at. Okay, so we are not gonna do the navigation. We set up the pages collection. We can set up a posts collection. Let's do that. So let's do a posts. Okay, let's configure. We can edit the blueprint here. I don't think we need to edit anything here. So let's just edit the blueprint here. Okay, so we have title, content, and author. I'm just gonna remove template and I'm just gonna leave the content. So the content here, this will be a markdown field, and I'm gonna leave this as markdown just to let you know that you have this kind of flexibility with Statamic. This is my first post. Okay, so then we have post. Okay, so the setup here is everything is ready for now. We just have to jump. Now we have to jump to our Astro frontend. So for our backend, I think we are pretty good. So let me go ahead first and test our home page. So Okay, so here basically we can call the entries just to double check. Okay, so as you can see here, we have everything here. This is my first post, about page, and home. Ideally, you would want to filter these by, I don't know, collection. Actually, we have collection here. So collection, pages, and now we get only the pages. Okay, so inside here, as you can see, this is our blueprint. So the reason why this GraphQL is showing you this interface is because with Statamic, a collection, they can have multiple blueprints. So you can have different blueprints for every collection. And that's why you have different schemas here. So that's why we have to do this on entry pages page. So now here, we can call the builder, and here we have our sets for hero section. We have our description, image, we have our title, type. Okay, so for image, we can get the permalink. We usually need, what else? Height, width. Also, you would want here the alt, which is here, but we have no image, we'll have to upload one. So as you can see here, there's our HTML, we have a random ID here, and the type is hero section. This is going to be useful when we build out this page on Astro later on. So, okay, so let's go ahead here. So yeah, as you can see here, our builder. Okay, so we can focus now on the front end part. Okay, so I'm just gonna close this one out, and okay, open up the front end. Okay, so let's follow the tutorial. So first things first, we have to install GraphQL, and then we have to install the graphql-codegen CLI. Okay, on package.json, we have to add these two scripts so we generate our front end. Okay, so let me just wait for this to finish. Okay, so we can add this here. Okay, so now we need an env file, which I'm gonna create here. Let's copy this. So here, our URL is basically this astro-site. So let's do http://test/GraphQL. Okay, so that's our URL. Okay, now we have to create the codegen. Oops, sorry. Oops, sorry, that's wrong. Okay, I need to create that on our front end. Okay, there's our codegen. Okay, so I'll copy everything from here just to show you how it works. Okay, so I'm gonna walk you through the changes here now. So we load our env here, GraphQL API URL. And that's our URL. We generate the documents under source/GraphQL. We ignore no document, so if it's empty, just ignore it. And this generates types here on source/generated/GraphQL.ts. So the plugins are TypeScript, TypeScript operations, and this is the one for the SDK. And these are some good defaults for this. And then after we generate them, we basically use Prettier to format them nicely. Okay, so let's create a client.ts under the utils folder. So here we can do a client.ts. I'm just gonna copy what we have here. Okay, so this hasn't been generated yet, and the reason it's throwing this error is because I don't have that on my ts config. So we should do here, yep, source.generated. Okay, now let me run. Okay, so we don't have any queries yet. We need So we need to create a GraphQL folder under the source. So under here, we need to create a GraphQL folder. So here we will store all our GraphQL queries. And here I like to separate these by function. So you would have, let's say, collections, and then you will have blocks for the builder ones. So I'll just do blocks first, and outside I like to have our queries for the collection. So it could be pages, it could be posts, it could be basically anything. So let's do pages.graphql. Okay, so and here is my query for the pages. So this is not gonna work in our case because we already have a query, and this is ours. So let me just copy everything here under data. Okay, so as you can see here, we are going through the builder, we are going through the hero section, and we're getting all the fields here. So I would also like to add one for the logo cloud type and images. I'm gonna do the same here, URL, permalink, sorry, not URL, width and height. You can also do this focus CSS, which is if you select a certain part on the image editor on Statamic, you can then use that CSS to target the same thing on the front end. So you can zoom in or do any sorts of transformations. Okay, so I click save, but obviously we don't have anything here and we don't have anything here. So we have no logo cloud, but yeah. So let me just copy the stuff under builder. Okay, so let's try and see if this works first, and then I'm going to show you how we can separate this into fragments. So if you remember, we added here, so these two basically CodeGen just generates everything with this config, and then watch, it's going to watch everything here. What you could do is you can here do, oops, sorry. So you could do end CodeGen. So that's also going to work, but yeah. So every time you make changes on the front end, the types are automatically generated. For the sake of this tutorial, I'm just going to generate them manually. So let's run npm run CodeGen. Okay, so we have some generated files here. Let's see what we have. Okay, we have our asset. Okay, so I'll search for our pages. Okay, there is our entry page, and yeah. So this is our query, perfect. Okay, and this is the data that our query returns, as you can see here. So you have the pages query, and these are all the possible types for that query. Okay, so now that we have that working, let's split these into fragments. So I can create here a new file. I can call this hero dash, or let's do hero underscore section.graphql. Okay, so I'll just copy this and we'll change it. So okay, so that's the name of our section. So set builder hero section, and you can call this anything. I have it here, hero section block. Let's just do hero section. So we have an ID, we have a type, we have a title and a type name. And now here, I'll just copy this and do this. So basically I copied the field from there and add it here. So now this is a fragment. So think of fragments as reusable components that you can split out from your GraphQL query. So in our project, for example, we like to create a fragment for images because this is something that you repeat a lot in your code. And you can just have, whenever you have an image, you can just include those, and yeah, that's how it works. So you can create a fragment called images and just call it every time so you don't have to repeat yourself. So here on pages, now that I've added those, and here I can just remove this and I can just do, yeah, -- hero section. Okay, hero section. Let's run CodeGen again just to make sure everything is working. Perfect. Okay, so now if I search for this fragment, we should have it here. Okay, yeah. There we go. Okay, so there's another one called hero section fragment, and here are all the possible fields that we have for our hero section. Perfect. Okay, so let me do another block for the logo cloud. So let me just do this. I'll just copy this one from here. I'll just do fragment. Fragment. Okay, we have to give it a name. Okay, there we go. And now here, okay, I can just do this. Perfect. Let's run CodeGen again. Okay, awesome. So that's okay. So we have two blocks here that build out our page. We have our pages query. I'm gonna copy this now, and I'm gonna go back here. I'm gonna remove this and this. So here I'm gonna target our posts, and okay, I have our first post. So now we have some other stuff here. So let me just okay, not okay. We have to. I think we have to reload here for the changes to take effect. Okay. Okay, so there we go. We have our post. So here in our, so this is our post blueprint. I just want to add here the content. So that would be this one. Okay, there we go. So there's our content, hello world. Perfect. I'll create here another query called posts.graphql. And I'm just gonna copy this. Okay, so now we have another query for posts. So now let's go ahead and configure everything with Astro, sorry. So let's run the Astro site. Okay, so this is basically on our starter. We have here some examples. I'll delete that. So on our index, I'll also delete this. So here I will accept a URI field, and that's something I have to include on our pages collection, sorry. And also the slug, just in case. So the reason why we take this, I'm gonna show you really quick, is, so let's go back to our pages query. That should be history, pages. Okay, this one. Okay, so let me go back here, close. Okay, so let me add this. So as you can see here, the URI is about dash page, and for this one is dash just the root, right? So this is the home page. So the reason why I'm using this is because you might have structured content on Statamic or your CMS of choice. Structured content basically means this could be underneath the home page. So in that case, the URL would be /about/something else, right? So in order to create those hierarchies, you have to drag and drop them, and you have to do the URI here. So yeah, that's basically how they work. Okay, and here, so now that I have that, let me go back to the tutorial. So okay, so on pages, I've already done this. So the URI parameter captures all the URL patterns. So I'll just copy this everything here for now, and I'll go over on the tutorial. So we don't have the builder yet. Okay. So as you can see here, it says property URI does not exist on type. Okay. I think we need to run npm run codegen. So as you can see, we already get some very helpful tips from. Okay, so you see now the error is gone. So we already get some pretty good codegen here. So you could do slug entry dot, and as you can see here, all our fields that we have available, which is pretty cool. We get full type safety here. So that's here entry is also type safe. So if we do entry dot title, okay, let's do console entry dot title, refresh, home. Okay, perfect. So let's go to /about. We should get about. Okay, yeah, we haven't added those yet. Okay, we'll have to fix those. Okay, but yeah, let's go back here. Okay, that's our home page. Perfect. Okay, so here now I'll just, so I won't focus a lot here. I'll just start building out. So basically we have the page title, which we are not using, and then here we have our blocks. So basically the things that we created here on our homepage. So the hero section or the logo cloud, that's though we defined those on our GraphQL schema. So now we want, every time we use one of these sections, we want to automatically build those pages with Astro, and we want to have type safety too, right? So I'll just copy this for now. This is not gonna work, by the way, because we don't have the builder component. Okay, and here it's builder, not blocks. So as you can see here, TypeScript is already very useful in this case. So let's create a builder component here. So I'm just going to do a builder.astro. Okay, and here on our builder component, okay, let me just copy this and I'll go through. Okay, so here we have just two blocks. So we have the hero section, which I'm gonna be doing right now. So hero section.astro. Okay, and then we have import logo cloud from blocks, logo cloud. Okay, so you see this set-blocks-cta. So that's basically how you have them defined here. So we have them as set builder hero section. So let's do that. And then for the logo cloud, we have set builder logo cloud, and that will go here. So the reason, so you could do here, you could just do this check. If you can just do here this block.type name or fragment, and this will work without an issue. But the reason why I like to have this, sorry, let me just create logo cloud. Okay, let's go back. So the reason why I want to create this is because sometimes you've added a new block in your CMS and you haven't implemented that on your front end. In this case, you will receive a warning on your console that that section is missing. So in our project, we found that it's very helpful to have those. And yeah, they help a lot. And it also shows you in which page, right? Which is very cool. So here, I don't have it as sets block anymore. They are called builder. So this type here block, maybe it's this. So, okay. So we fixed some TypeScript errors here because on our tutorial, we have them as blocks, and on our new Statamic site, we called them builders. So yeah, just small differences. Okay, so now that we changed those, so basically what this code does is given a builder here. So let's import our builder. So given that we have a builder here, it will go through all the array of items in the blocks or the builder. So that's this. So this is an array of objects, and based on their type name, it's gonna, okay, so type name is something that's missing right now. So basically, if we add it here, so type name, it's gonna be set builder hero section. So based on the type name, it's gonna render the correct component. So let's add these two. I also need to add type name to the hero section and to logo cloud. Okay, we have to run CodeGen again, npm run def again. Okay, so now that we have those, so basically based on every type name, we generate a template. So it could be a hero section, it could be a logo cloud, the order doesn't matter, as long as the editor here adds them on the Statamic site, they will render on the front end. So this gives you a lot of flexibility. And now I'm going to show you how you can also type in them, right? So let's go to our hero section here. Okay, save. I'll go back to our tutorial. So as you can see here, I'm importing this hero section block fragment from generated GraphQL. So let me show you how that works. So if I go to our generated GraphQL and I do hero section fragment, oops. So there it is. So you have this export type hero section fragment, which basically gives you all the possible fields for that block. So let's copy this. Oops. So here we're gonna have hero section fragment. Now a block here is gonna be hero section fragment. So these are all the possible ways. So now if we do this, block is gonna be TypeSafe. So let me just copy the hero section here. Oops. Okay, so yep, I think, yeah, that's the one. Add it as HTML, copy, bam. Okay, so here we can do, okay, so now that's where the type safety comes. Block that, oops, ooh, there we go, title. So you see, we have automatic type safety here. So yeah, so for the description, so Astro has something called, let me show you. Yep, set HTML. So we can use this for our description. So, okay, so it's not gonna be this, it's gonna be a div, and set HTML, it's gonna be block.description, perfect. Okay, so now we are now at the CTA, so, okay, so on our pages, sorry, so on our pages, we are missing here type name. So let me just stop this CodeGen. Boom, there we go. Okay, so you see, we just forgot a tiny little thing. Okay, so let's continue with our hero section. Okay, so we have here, apparently we have two buttons here for some reason, maybe because of responsive issues. Or actually let's just copy their hero section from here. I think it's gonna be a better. Okay, so they have some kind of a section here. That section, I'll just copy this. So yeah, I'll just copy what they have on their GitHub page. I think it's best that way. Now let's do the hero. Yeah, perfect. I also want to use the image component. Okay, so let's import the image. Boom. Okay, so let's add an image here because we forgot. Okay, so this is the image. We uploaded the image, save and publish. Perfect. Okay, so yeah. Okay, so let's comment this out. Okay, so this is the CTA, and now as I was going through this, so we have here block.title, which is required. So the description is not required, but I'm just gonna change this to a div. I'm gonna use set HTML here for block.description, and I'm gonna delete this. Nice. You see now we get that bold section there. So for the so the description is actually, so the description is optional, so we have to do this. Sorry, I lost. Okay, so not entry, but block. Perfect. Okay, so now the CTA is also optional, so let's do block.cta. Okay, for some reason this is working against me. Okay, let's go back to the hero section. Oh, we haven't added our CTA. Okay, let's do that now. Okay, so on hero section, we have the CTA, label, and link. So that's all we need to add. Okay, so yeah, as you can see here, the CTA is an object which has a CTA label and a link. We just need to add that here. So I'll just add it underneath the image. Now we have to run CodeGen again, so the types are generated. Now let's npm run dev. So now we should have that available in the hero section. Boom, there we go. Okay, so we have the CTA label and the link. So that's gonna be cta.label, oops, blog.cta.label, and that's gonna be the link. Perfect. So that should take you to about page. Yes. Okay, nice. So yeah, that took us to the about page. I don't want to do target blank. Nice. Those are the sweet view transitions that we have on our Astro starter. Okay. And here is, okay, so now final one is the image. So for the image, so the source is going to be blog.image.permalink. Okay, so we need the width. And we need the height. Boom. Okay. Okay, so the image I think is optional, so okay, for some reason my editor is working against me today, and I'm not sure why. Okay, there we go. Okay, so there's our image. Nice. Okay, there's our book of consultation. So now, as you can see here, this was all type safe, right? So let's say for some reason you decide to remove a field here on the hero section. So let's assume you're going to remove the CTA label. Now, what happens when we run our code gen? Sorry. Okay, yeah, let's run our code gen. We go back to our hero section. Boom, we have an issue. This does not exist on this type. Perfect. But what about, okay, so let's add the label, CTA label. So what about adding fields that don't exist? Okay, so let's assume here we have, yeah, a type. So we run npm. As you can see here, cannot read properties of undefined reading type. So this does not work. Okay, so now that we have that, the only thing now that I wanted to connect and basically show you an example of how it works is the footer, which is here, because if you remember in the beginning of this tutorial, I've added, okay, let's clear this. I added some section there on our Statamic CMS. So let's just grab this footer here. I'm gonna assume it's on layouts. No, main layout. Okay, there's a footer component, which is on UI. UI, footer, okay. So let's just copy this whole section. I'm gonna comment out. Okay, so I like to have the footers under here. Okay, so we have this form here, which I don't think we need. That's the one. So let's remove that for now. Okay, so we have some links here. We have the image. Let's just do a text here, posy. Okay, let's just do the text here. Okay, so we have the logo and the logos here. There are some logos. Okay, so maybe that's that part there. Let's remove that. Let's remove these links here. Okay, I'm gonna leave just this part here. I'm gonna leave the rest of the stuff here. So if you remember when our first query was a global set. So let's go here, and that's the global theme. So if I click run, this is the global theme that we have. So I like to call these based on their name on the front end. So we basically will get the same query. So if you remember here on our pages, so as you can see here, the stuff that I copied. So data comes from SDK pages, and the name, the method here is automatically generated from our GraphQL queries. So if we go to GraphQL, if you go to pages, you can see that the query is called pages. So if for some reason I want to name this query get pages, I run npm run codegen, and oops, now we have an issue. This does not exist anymore. So as you can see, this is automatically generated and it's type safe. So we get all of this because of graphql-codegen, which is an amazing library. So okay, now that it's back, so as you can see here, the data is a pages query. You can go, you can view this, or basically everything here now is type safe just because of that. So in the same way, I like to call our globals. So for our globals, I'm just gonna do here a new file called globals.graphql, and the file name here does not matter, but the query does. Okay, so as you can see here, we have a query called global theme. I'll just do just do here underscore global theme. If you prefer shorter names, you can just do theme, and then it will be sdk.theme, which is pretty cool if you ask me. Okay, so let's add this and let's see how we can call this on our layout. So because this is a theme, I want this to be on the footer. So obviously we have to call this from the layout. So let's add our footer here. Okay, so here we just have to call our footer. So that would be import. Yes. Let's run this. Okay, there we get our footer. For some reason it doesn't have the same styles. Maybe it's the background color. Yeah. No. Okay, there we go. What about the text? Okay, so text green. Okay, there's text gray. Let's replace this with text white. Okay, and then text green. Okay, there we go. Perfect. Okay, so now let's dynamically generate this. So that this part has to come from our CMS. So if you remember, here on globals, we have a query for the theme. And here you can have multiple queries. CodeGen will automatically grab all of those. So we have them generated. Okay, sorry. I don't like to keep console logs here for no reason, so let's remove that. So now that we have that, we need to import our SDK from our utils. So now let's do const data theme. Okay, so we haven't run. We have to run CodeGen. Okay, there we go. There's our theme. So I'm gonna console log the data now. Okay, so as you can see here, the data is under a global set. So here I will, you can do anything here. I just prefer to have this all under a block. So let's say this block is data.global set. So that's this. So basically we'll get everything here. Now if I go to our footer here. Okay, so now let's go to our generated files. If you remember, we have a theme here. So we have the theme query. We have the theme document. That's the query. And that's our global set theme. So let me just, okay, so that's the type that we need, a theme query. So if I go to the footer here, basically we follow the same pattern as the heroes, on components, blocks, hero section. So we will import this type. And then we want to add the type of props. So we have block, and this is a theme query, but we just need the inside of that. So now we can do here is block dot, oops, sorry, we haven't. So block would come from astro.props. Okay, so now here we should be able to do block dot email, yep, and block dot address. Perfect. So this data now comes from our globals on Statamic. So yeah. Oh, we also have the copyright. I'm not sure if we added that here. Globals. Yeah, we have copyright. and the copyright is here, I think. Okay, yeah, so that's the copyright. Okay, so let me just clean up this a little bit. Sorry, block.copy. Right. Nice. There's our block. This is a required field, so if this is missing, it's just going to render an empty string. So you can add additional if-else checks here. So let me open here my notes. So yeah, we went through everything here. Yeah, I didn't have the time to go through the forms, but basically you can create forms with Statamic and you can dynamically render those with Astro. In our sites, what we like to do is we have those forms, they hit certain endpoints. Those endpoints are created with Astro, and then those endpoints, when we deploy the site in Cloudflare or in AWS or anywhere else or Vercel, those endpoints, they become serverless functions. So anytime you hit those, that serverless function is going to hit your CMS backend. So in those cases, you don't want to expose your Statamic URL. And there are plenty of reasons why you don't want to do that, but basically you can use those endpoints. So when you hit that endpoint in the front end, the fetch is going to have the URL of your domain name /API/contact, where contact is the name of the form. So with that serverless function, then you can do another fetch to submit a post request to your Statamic backend to submit the form. You can also do validation there. You can return the server side validation. You can do front end side validation also. Like, there's endless possibilities. But after we connect some of these sites to Astro, and we have all of this type safety, and let's say in an ideal scenario, the editors here have added countless of pages, countless of posts. So now comes the part of deploying. So when you deploy these sites, because the beauty of Astro is that you can have static HTML for all of this, or you can have a mix of static HTML and server-side rendered pages if needed. So we prefer to deploy these in Cloudflare. You can easily set up a hook on Cloudflare. They're called deploy hooks to automatically deploy the site when the content on the CMS changes. So how you can track that on every CMS, especially the headless ones, you have webhooks, and with Statamic you kind of have to code a bit your own. So anytime they hit a button on the dashboard, you want to deploy the site. So because Astro is very fast at deploying the site, those builds are going to be instant. If you have the build cache enabled on Cloudflare, those get built in seconds. It depends on the size of the site, but sometimes it even takes seconds if it's just a few pages and a few blog posts. But yeah, they're usually pretty fast. So that was all we had to share for this tutorial. Let me know if I missed anything. Sorry for the few hiccups here and there. I tried to cover as much ground as possible just to show you like my thinking process, how we structure these, the queries, and basically everything to get this working, to get end-to-end type safety, so you're sure everything works correctly. If you have any ideas or any feedback, please leave them in the comments. Thank you and see you next time.